So I'm going to be making a recipe out of this book today. I picked out page 286, winter squash soup with basil and lime cream. And it won't be exactly the same as my hot water bottle's falling out of my coat as theirs, because mine won't have cream in it for one thing, but I will make some coconut cream, I think, to go on the side for James, because I think he'd probably like that. And I almost finished my Smart Woman tomato soup from storage, because that's the way to
make
healthy,
it.
When you're tired, and I'm very tired right now, because I've been packaging seeds the last few days.
Simone, you're running a huge charity there. Yeah, really. I'm not, know, it sounds funny, but put in a lot of work there.
If it gets a few more people gardening for themselves, growing their own food, that's great. I mean, gardening is great for just for the exercise and the fact that you're out in fresh air, getting some sunshine.
You want to get more healthy food.
But if you
don't use pesticides, herbicides, whatever.
And I think it makes for a healthier person mentally too.
Absolutely.
To be responsible for at least a portion of what they actually consume, so that they know the effort that's going into making it. And
there can be a lot of effort involved.
They're not just purely consumers, and that's really what we're raised to be from right away in school.
Mass consumers, sadly. Yeah, it's worse than being a consumer.
And we need to get away from that. So this tea that I'm drinking is English Tea Shop Organic Chamomile Lavender. It smells wonderful. I almost want to rub it on his... Yeah, I love it. But I don't like the taste of lavender. So for me, I just like inhaling it more. I'd rather rub this on myself than drink that. But I'm going to drink it. I'm very thankful that this was given to me. I was able to pick, I think it was a pick three different teas. I can't really remember.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was a while ago.
Okay.
So I'd pick this one and Earl Grey and something else.
So what's this one called?
Chamomile Lavender? Lavender Chamomile?
That's the name of the company?
English Tea Shop, maybe it was?
Okay. Something like that. I was focusing on the lavender part. Anyway, it seemed like something royal or something like that.
And it feels royal.
Yeah, there is.
Because, I mean, I don't drink lavender very often. And honestly, I should have lavender around more often, because just the smell, because I love it.
Relaxing, right?
Yeah. And I don't. So I don't have it around, but I do love it. And I can't imagine it'd be very expensive for me to go out and buy some lavender essential oil or something. It's probably cheap as can be. But I'm so accustomed to not buying things.
Yeah, we don't.
I just don't think about it.
Especially new.
Yeah.
Something like that, you have to buy it.
Yeah. So this soup is going to have garlic, onion, ginger, Hubbard squash, because I have a Hubbard squash that was looking like it might want to go soon, and so I decided to use that. Although I prefer using the Hubbard for grating. I like grating it up to pretend like it's cheddar on things. Works out really well. Tastes nice and sweet. And but there's other squash I can use that. I could do that with too. But that's what I do with the Hubbard. I don't know why. I do other things with the others.
Nice color.
Yeah, it should be. And it has parsley, thyme, bay leaf, star anise.
Star anise?
Yeah. Okay.
The Harvards, I'm just trying to That's the way I pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay. Tomatoes, vegetable stock, black pepper, heavy whipping cream, which I'm not going to use. I'm going to use
Yeah, that would kill you, I think.
I'm going to use coconut cream. Like, I'm going to put a can of coconut milk in the fridge, and then I'll mix that up for James with the lime juice.
Yeah. Heavy cream would be bad, have heavy effects on you too, so just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think this will taste better with, but who knows? I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, it'll just be it'll be a dollop on a bowl of soup. And so if James says, no, that tastes funny, then
I
we
would
won't
just
get it
mix
on
it
the
in.
next
I
bowl.
won't taste it.
But I'm making this one. I copied down a list, like just lists of ingredients from a lot of the different soups, because there's quite a few soups in here that call for fish stock, and so I was thinking of making that for James because somebody gave us a jug of fish stock. So
A whole jug.
Yep. So I'll see which flavors he seems more interested in and make him a.
I'm glad
pot
you
of
said
that.
interested, Mike, because
I don't know.
it's kind of different. Yeah. Not a big fan of fish taste.
But yeah, I couldn't imagine the flavors of thyme, parsley, bay leaf, and star anise together. So with basil.
They seem incompatible.
Well, I've never put these flavors together, and then like I've had lime and basil together, and well, parsley, thyme, and bay leaf together, but never these all together. So I want to give them a try and see what they're like.
So we're going to be
good.
guinea pig then, are we?
Yeah. So I wanted to mention something about this book while I remember, because I might not remember tomorrow when I show off the soup. Now, one thing, I mentioned I won't be using the heavy cream. I also won't be using the vegetable stock, because how I prefer to make my soups is I prefer not to use vegetable stock. I used to use vegetable or mushroom better than bouillon in like all my soups. And then eventually I started making my own kimchi, and so right now I have about a head and 3/4 of organic purple cabbage, which is beautiful, which made my hands kind of blackish. But I have that grated up in a bowl with one gigantic daikon radish, which I put a couple pieces that didn't go through the food processor grater on James's plate, so he has that for a little garnish on the side of his breakfast this morning. Anyway, so making the kimchi, I put I dissolve the pink salt with hot water, and then I pour that on top of those things. And then over a few hours, then the cabbage wilts, or I could speed it up by crunching, but I don't need to do that. And then I drain it, but I save that because it's very flavorful. It's flavorful like radish and cabbage. And that's what I use for broth, because it's yum. Now, in Smart Woman, I did not use that, because this soup I make with my cherry wine, and it's delicious. So, and sage, and the flavors together, you wouldn't think, but it's just something I tried out and I love it. So it's easy as can be to make, and when I make it, I make a whole ton and can it, because then I have instant soup when I'm tired, and I'm tired. I've been up for several hours packaging seeds, and I don't want to do it anymore, but I have so many seeds that last year over the winter I was way too depressed, and I didn't get my seeds packaged to give away. I didn't give away nearly as many as I planned to.
You still gave away a few, right? Quite a few.
I don't know how many. I think it turned out to be 800 packages or something.
Few? That's a lot. 800 satisfied
That's
customers.
what I'm doing now.
No, you should actually be keeping track of how many hours you put in, because Like
Okay.
the way I look at it is, you're worth at least $20 an hour, just based on the kind of stuff you've had, the jobs you've had.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how much charity you're given, and that's just the package, because you raised the seeds too.
Yeah. Not all of them. Some were given to me, and I'm very thankful.
This is true. Well,
So-
you're giving back. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yes.
running a charity here. Yeah, we've taken some charity.
Yes.
Well, you're giving back.
Yes. So anyway, this book, as I mentioned, I copied down a lot of the recipes, not the how to do it or anything. I just copied down the list of ingredients, and we'll work from there. But for quite a few of them, I don't remember how many of the recipes, but a number. Looked interesting. Now, some of them are really plain and easy to make, and a lot of the recipes do not call for, like when I make that or whatever soups, I tend to sprout my lentils or beans or whatever before I make the soups. And I won't be doing it with this one because I don't think this one called for any, did it? But, if I make this in the future, it's probably going to have sprouted lentils in it. But maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, so this book calls for cans, like a 400-gram can of da-da-da-da. Yeah, which is...
Instead of making stuff fresh?
Yeah, which is weird.
And that's pretty well all the time? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this book is really laid out for people who don't cook. So if you've never cooked before and you think, geez, I really should eat a little more healthy, then there's some interesting recipes in here, like nettle soup. How often have you eaten nettle? And you've heard that it's healthy, right? And you're always like, I don't really want to go out and harvest stinging nettle because...
No.
So anyway.
You'd sure want to cook it properly, right?
I guess it doesn't sting once you cook it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. But honestly, I haven't tried it. That was one that I copied down. And
is this from England?
It must be.
It sounds very European.
Yeah, they make things like sorrel
side
soup.
Of things.
But
is it okay if I
yeah,
have
you can.
check?
But another thing that I noticed about it is it has European Union sort of measurements.
There you go.
Even though we here in Canada have the Queen on our money, and a lot of people are really into the whole royal family and stuff here, which is fun. I'm not, but a lot of people are, even though they will never meet the Queen or know anything about the Queen, as we're very far away. But somehow a lot of people are really into that thing, and
Seems to be English. Yeah.
It's funny. But anyway, we don't use 14 ounces or 400 grams of potatoes. That measurement means pretty nearly nothing to us. So usually it would be a measurement like 1 potato or 2 potato.
Oh, they're using
3
ounces
potato form.
there?
Yeah, which is weird.
I think
because
they translated for American.
yeah, they're thinking, oh well, Canadians.
It's an American
Americans
edition.
will both be able to use that, and really, I don't know if either will, because I don't know if the Americans use 14 ounces of potatoes as a measurement. Now, I do have a scale so that I can actually weigh out 400 grams of potatoes if I care to. I won't. I'm just going to ballpark. I'm going to go, 1 potato. And I don't even know if that's right. Yeah. And then if it doesn't work out, maybe next time 2 potato. I don't know. And which I know that 1 potato, 2 potato, whatever, is not a good measurement, because there's potatoes this size, there's potatoes this size. So what? But usually we're picturing one about that big around and about that long, right? Usually.
I was listening to CBC and they were saying don't measure using cups. Use weights. And they're giving weights.
And they're giving weights, and that is a good way to do it. It's just not something that we're accustomed to doing. But if you're new to cooking and you look at this book and you're like, okay, well, 400 grams, you might not be accustomed to using cups for measurements, or 1 potato. So then you might get into this good habit of actually using weight. So I just had to mention that about this book, because it's different than I'm accustomed to using.
See, here's the deal. The person that was talking this stuff at CBC, the guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, you're a good cook, and I don't think of you as weighing stuff out. My mom was a good cook. She didn't start weighing stuff out until all the kids pretty well had flown the nest, and she developed diabetes.
Yeah, so she was weighing out her fats.
Yeah, so it wasn't for
and the
taste,
sugars.
but she got the taste right. You get the taste right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you have a tougher job than her in the sense that you're trying more things out.
Yeah. Well,
My mom didn't have a small repertoire, but it was limited, by comparison with yours. That's all.
Well, that's what most women have to do. Like my ex, when he used to, I don't know, maybe once a month or something, he'd make something really good.
He was
He'd
saying
cook,
he's a very good cook.
Yeah.
That's
And
impressive.
So, like, he had this one recipe that he was sort of basing it on the Earl's recipe, I think, for a Thai noodle salad, and it was good. And he'd make that occasionally.
I know you were saying
very good.
You kind of wish he'd done it a bit more often.
Well, that's the thing, is when you're, a lot of time, the only cooking that people really want to do is something artful and special, or whatever, right? So there's a lot of women who are into making cakes. They love cake decorating. That's special for them, whatever, and that's what they do. And then the rest of the time, who knows, Lipton's noodles and sauce sidekicks and whatever. I don't know.
I love cooking
But-
or food preparation. Well, I used to do food preparation. I make sandwiches and stuff like that. But I got great memories of making the only pizza I ever made. It was back when I was a teenager, right? I got a huge sense of confidence.
There you go.
Now, it was out of the box, but, I had to put the dough out and,
Yep.
all that sort of stuff. I had to follow
And
the
still,
rules.
because you made that the once, now you feel like I'm a cook. I could do it. I
But
just don't want to.
It's not
I
the
have better
same
things to
thing.
do.
See,
And
my
it's not the
mom was
same,
a cook, 7 kids.
because she did it every day and every meal.
Yeah.
She was the one doing
Yeah.
it. And when you
even
do
if
that,
it hadn't have been tasty, she still would have been a cook. But she managed to combine the two, and it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So almost all the time, her meals were awesome. Just her Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's meals were awesome.
Yeah.
But what was really awesome was just keeping that food coming, constantly.
But anyway, when my ex left, and he was calling me more often than he should have been, but he was calling me sometimes nice, and then when he was nice, usually he'd call right after and he'd say, "Forget I called," and he'd be all frustrated with himself. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so because he had a hard time doing that, but I hope eventually he managed to make that work a bit better. Anyway, so he'd call sometimes and he'd say, you really were the one who did most of the cooking and stuff like that. He'd realize things, and then he'd call back a little later and he'd forget I called and this and that. But that's the thing, is it's somehow the meals have to get made, or else it's pizza every night. And when you can't afford that, then you're gonna have to make something for yourself. And
or you can make pizza.
it might
or
not be
something like
that
but,
special. And so, at the time when he was eating the stuff, he was probably thinking, this is absolutely boring food, or whatever. And here I make this fancy Thai noodle salad, and you don't make fancy things very often, or whatever he was probably thinking, right? But the thing is
you were out there
it was-
earning the money to buy the food.
well, that's true, but
Yeah,
that's not
that's the
my
bottom
point.
line. I know.
My point is that I was making it all the time, and I was tired, and so I didn't have the energy to make. And now I realize this is what I should have been doing. I should have been canning a whole bunch of stuff in the off season, and then I'd come home and just crack open one of those and heat it up and sit back and chill. So that's what I recommend everyone do. It's very easy to
Pauline
make.
has some amazing
pots of soup,
things.
like-
That chili that you've been
Yeah,
cracking open for me.
James loves
wow. Just really
Good.
tastes a little hot for my taste, but it's probably a little bit mild for your taste. But
I don't know.
you've basically been letting me eat it, and it's very
Well,
healthy.
you like
It's
it,
got
so
all
I may as
sorts of
well
stuff.
let you eat it.
It's got all
I
sorts
can
of
eat
stuff in
this.
it. And the funny thing is, you managed to put sweet in there along with the hot, so it kind of
Yeah.
ameliorates it. I think you had that in mind.
How did I put the sweet in?
I don't know what it would have been. I just tasted, you know.
It used to be I'd put brown sugar in the chili, but I don't
You got
think
that
I
from
was
your
when I was
dad,
making.
right?
Yeah. I don't think I was, but
Your dad had
anyway.
a sweet tooth. I think you were thinking, because I have a sweet tooth similar to Pauline's dad, and I think you were thinking of that. You know, I don't know if you put brown sugar in there, but you found something.
I
So
don't think I put.
that is awesome stuff. I gotta
I
say,
don't know what I put.
very tasty.
Oh, apple juice in that one.
There we go. See, that's how you get the
Because
sweetness.
apple tree.
Yeah.
So,
So presumably a little healthier. I don't know how much. There's a lot of sugar.
I don't know.
in apple juice.
I just we have an apple tree where I do, and it's
oh, it's that kind of apple
sometimes-
juice.
yeah.
That's good.
so it's pretty productive. And
Yeah.
so what I was doing is I was making apple juice to cook with for the hot stuff, like chili, and then I was taking the pulp and making these psyllium fiber patties. So that's what, for me. So that's what I was doing. So they weren't going to waste at all. You have a whole bunch of apples that ripen at once. What do you do, right? So that's easy. You can. And
Yeah, this might have been the closest, most productive year. Even though
yeah, but I was too depressed to really even do
well,
anything.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. I mean, birds got stuff. You know, there's.
Maybe that's why the Blue Jays were so happy with me. Maybe
They've
they
been
like
around.
apple too. Yeah.
I hope so. There's a lot of birds around here. A lot of magpies and wee small little ones that kind of like scoping us. Haven't seen them recently, but when we're doing the deck dinners.
Oh, this I was going to mention. James actually thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess some people do.
Yeah. It's not my favorite show.
No. And I think that it is made by the same people as Everyone Loves Raymond, because Raymond was in the, I
Well,
think it was
there
the
you
first
go.
episode of this third
And so
season.
that's why they chucked in the middle, right? No, that's it's not Raymond. That was Malcolm in the middle. Everyone loves.
I know.
Raymond.
I was
Yeah.
hoping this would be like a Malcolm in the Middle. I was actually hoping what they need to do is have Malcolm now as an adult. I saw him in a movie. He's good. He does a good job. Have him as the father now.
Well, there you
In
go.
Malcolm
See?
in the Middle. Now Malcolm whatever.
Yeah.
You figure out
You
a
should
title.
be
I just
producing
gave you.
movies. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? All we got to do is make the $1 million to make
Yeah.
the 10 million
Yeah.
from producing
Well,
movies.
we can make some really cheap art films, like good ones, like Eraserhead or something, right?
Sure.
And
Adam Egoyan. Well, he doesn't
Yeah.
make very good stuff, but his stuff is commercial. You know.
sure.
Or
But
some
yeah,
of
we
it.
could make that, and then all of a sudden somebody might be interested in
Sure.
watching something that we
We
do.
just got to
'Cause
get
nobody
a
watches these things.
backstory for us, that makes it. Adam Egoyan, Armenian, goes back and does documentaries about Armenia and stuff like that. I'd be scared to go back.
Yeah.
I know. I suspect he was actually in the former Soviet Union. I'd be scared of being an Armenian in Turkey. I just got to say. But,
Yeah.
they've had a bad history with Armenians, and it's not just the Turks; it's the Kurds. The Kurds in Armenia or in Turkey. Basically, they're not native there. They're native to northeastern Iraq or northern Iraq and northwestern Iran. It looks as though they are the Guti or Kuti, however you want to pronounce it, and they go back to they actually, after the Akkadian Empire went down, then the Guti took over in present
I
day.
shouldn't give you hot chocolate at the same time as your juice.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's
No,
actually
you
good
wouldn't
after the
drink
juice.
that
But
juice.
okay, what happened was, I was already a little bit. Eggs kind of disgust me. I like them, but they kind of disgust me too. So I'd already eaten some oysters. Like maybe an hour
You
ago.
told me 3. That's what I made.
It has nothing to do with that. You know, it's just when I came out here, I was going, okay, I'm already disgusted, and even if you'd made one, it would have been a problem. You know, you never know exactly what it's like until it's put down in front of you. So I'm going, am I going to have enough appetite for it if I drink the power juice? And I said no. So then I ate the stuff, the eggs, and then I drank the. You notice I didn't even eat the veggies. You know, I just drank that to. Actually, 2 eggs is my limit usually, but the other day I got 4 down. I must have been really hungry. Was that yesterday? Remember you made 4 of them? So, yeah, 2 is usually my limit, unless it's like it's the white I can't stand. So that's why scrambled eggs or omelets are, you know, you could even make a 4 or 1 if I was relatively hungry, or even more, be able to eat it.
Yeah.
But poached eggs and boiled eggs are a little bit tough, except when I'm going through stem cell therapy. About the only thing I can get down, aside from hot chocolate, is boiled eggs or poached eggs. You know, like your sister made poached eggs for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Ordinarily,
I didn't even know you liked
disgusting.
them until that, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm making poached eggs.
The weird thing is your palate changes. So when you're nauseated, they sit light on your stomach. But when you're not, like when you're healthy, then they're a bit of a stomach turner. You know, like ordinarily I like grapes, but if I just looked at a grape when I'm going through stem cell therapy, I'd barf, because there's something about that acid, any sort, you know, like oranges, anything like that. You don't really smell it, but if you just put it in your mouth, you'd want to throw up. It's veggies. I don't have to say anything about it, because they've got a lot of acidity or something like that in them, and it's just, you don't want anything. You can smell the veggies if they've been cooked, and you know, you lift up the cover for the plate, and there'll be this it's like it'll come welling at you. It's like a ghost coming at you, making you want to throw up. It's like a possession or something like that. You can't describe the nausea. I'm trying to give you an impression of what it is. And of course, I tried to tell them no meat. Yeah, and I've developed, you know, like I never was much on eating meat, but you notice now if you're cooking chicken, I'll be going, oh, I cannot stand that smell.
Yeah.
And to a large extent, that comes from the stuff that they're giving you when you're getting stem cell therapy. The stuff will come out of there,
well,
and you just want to just projectile
eating
vomit.
all the turkey tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But the weird thing is, you know, like you put that stuff in the stuffing, and it's great because it reminds me of my mom. She made great stuffing, so do you, right?
Yeah.
No, you make veggie stuffing.
Yeah.
That is amazing because it is tasty. It is very, very tasty. That last stuffing you made, did you notice how I just
made was stovetop stuffing.
Well, there you go.
That was not mine.
Yeah. Well, you mixed it up with a lot of different stuff, right?
Yeah. So like it was not veggie, and when you were like, "Oh, this reminds me of my mom," that's whatever.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I just tell you the truth. That's the way it goes.
But it's very easy to make stuffing. If you look at the ingredients on stovetop stuffing, just rather than thinking like you add hot water, it's instant, and some butter or whatever, you can add whatever fat. And
well, you added something different though, didn't you?
No.
Or you just put butter?
What? So anyway, then you put with the stuffing ingredients, like, do you just think Scarborough